So recording has started. So tonight we want to look at classes and constructors. So to start with, we want to discuss what a class is. What is a class in JavaScript? A class,
Yes, sir.
is a blueprint. It's a blueprint that allows us to create many objects or many look-alike objects. Again, a class is a blueprint that allows us to create look-alike objects. So let's assume I want to create many objects. Instead of creating them one after the other, a class makes it very easy for me to create these objects. I love to liken or to compare a class with a building plan, and an object is the building itself. So if I want to create many buildings that look alike, then I can create all of them from a building plan. So and that building plan is a class. I can now create look-alike objects from this single class. So let me give another example. When I had my IT, I had it as Cisco Foods Limited. Now then, we used to produce sweets, mucos and the likes. So to produce the sweet, there was this melter. That melter has shapes of sweets, like O's, that looks like sweets. It has O's. So what they do is this: they will, how do I say, all these things are automated, but then in the kitchen we have a place called kitchen. So that I'm using all of this so that you understand how a class looks like. So that melter has a lot of O's that looks like sweets, but they are just O's. So they will now pour molten sugar, like molten sugar. They will pour it on this melter. Remember that melter has O's. So after pouring molten sugar on this, then somehow they will now find a way to press the sweets out of the O's. Now let's now talk about how a class is related to this. You see that melter that contains O's? That melter is like a class that allows us to create a lot of sweets that look alike.
Okay.
So, after passing to one, and if I want to create another set of sweets, all I need to do is to pour molten sugar on that same melter, and it will produce new sweets. So that melter that allows us to create a lot of look-alike sweets is like a class. So what we do is this: you first create the class, then you now start creating objects out of that class. All objects created out of that class will now look like that class. So let's go. To create a class in JavaScript, you write this word, keyword, class. Then by convention, you start the name of the class with capital letter. It's convention. I can call this any name. Yeah, I'm calling it my class. Since I'm using the two words, let me call it my class. But again, following convention, you start the name of the class with uppercase. So this is a class. Inside this class, I can now create properties inside this. A class can have properties and methods, just like an object. A class can have properties
Like
and
objects.
methods. Yes. So I can say name is let's say department is software. Note that what we have here is not colon. If it were to be object, it would have been colon. But what we have here is not colon, it is equal to. So this now is a class. This class has two properties. Now, back to the two examples I cited. Number one, building plan. In the real sense of things, we are not interested in the building plan. No. We're actually interested in the building that will be created out of that building plan. Likewise, we are not interested in this class itself, but instead, we are interested in the objects that will be created out of the class. Again, to the suite example, we are not interested in that melter itself, but instead we are interested in the suite. That is the object that will be created out of the melter. So we are not interested in this class itself, but actually we are interested in the object that will be created out of the class. So we've created the class. Next is, how then do we create an object out of this class? So to create an object out of this class, you say variable, create a variable. You can call it any name. I can call it new class, or I can say maybe create new create new, just call it any name, new object, sorry, or let me even use obj. Variable obj equals to, you see this word new, this keyword new, this word new is the one that helps us to create an object out of a class. I come again. This word new helps us to create an object out of a class. I will now say new my class. So instantly, this new will help us to create an object out of this class called my class, and it will now assign that object to this variable called obj. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this variable will be an object. Whenever you create a new instance of a class, the result is an object. So here I'm creating a new instance of this class, and the result will be an object. So this obj is an object. So I can now say console log obj. So it's going to be an object that look exactly like this class. Let's run it. So can you see that the object has two properties, name and department.
Department.
So I can now say obj.name, and that will give us style. Then obj.department, that will give us software. Let's go. I can proceed to introduce a method inside this. I can just create a method called myFunc, and when I call on this method, I can just say maybe alert LOR. So let's call on this method now. Remember, this obj, we have everything inside this class. So it will have these three. If you have name, if you have department, you also have this method. So I can say obj dot myFunc, and this will give us hello world. So we have this hello world. Any question?
Sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir, please. Yeah. So I would like you. Sir, don't be annoying though.
No problem, sir.
Yeah. So I would like you to just. Sir, can you come back with your
Is that
explanation? And again, sir.
okay?
Sir, is the only object that we can use class to operate?
Yes. Well, that, in fact, that's the essence of a class. We use class to create objects.
Okay.
That's the essence of a class. It's primarily meant to create objects. Look-alike objects. Here, I've only created one object, but you can create similar object. I can come here again and say, let second obj equals to new my class. So this second obj also, we have everything inside this class. It will also have its name as Taye, it will have department as software, and it will also have this method in it. Do you understand?
Okay.
Can we proceed?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Okay. So you are saying that class is also a blueprint. So
If
please, can you explain that aspect?
okay, look at something. This is a class, but on its own, a class doesn't have much sense. Like you can't really use a class like that on its own. For instance, if I try to do something like this, my class dot name. If I say console log my class dot name, let's do this so that you understand what I'm saying. If I try to do this, this is the name of the class, and I try to access this name. Let's go to the console and see something together. Refresh. Now, if you have my class, let's say you expect it to give me Taye. Let's say my class dot department, and let's fix this. It's telling me undefined. In the real sense of it, except if you are talking about static properties, which we get to at the right time. But then a class is really is technically useless on its own. The primary purpose of a class is for you to create an object. Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
The primary work of a class. This class now, although I have a class, but this class is useless on its own. You need to create an object out of it. If I just say my class dot my func, if I try to call on this function, it's not going to work. It's expecting me, JavaScript is expecting me to create an object out of the class. You usually use a class when you have, let's say, lookalike, or you want to create lookalike objects. Using a class makes it very easy to do that. Then it also gives us the OOP, object-oriented programming. Class gives us that ability, it makes OOP programming possible in JavaScript. So class really helps us to create objects out of it and use this OOP, object-oriented programming. In object-oriented programming, you see everything as an object. You see everything as an object. And class allows us to do that easily. So the summary of this is that a class is technically useless on its own. You need to create an object out of the class in order to make that class useful. Do you get it? Hello, sir, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you get the explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at this point we are using this new keyword to create an object out of that class. The same thing, that's what you're also doing here. New my class, just to create an object out of the class. And whatever object you create out of the class, we have all these features. It will have these three things. It will have the property name and department, and it will also have the method my func. Can we proceed? Can we
Yes,
proceed?
boss.
Okay. Now, we've looked at these things. We want to proceed to something called constructor. So let's discuss what a constructor is. A constructor, when you call on new my class, at this point when you say new my class, what happens is, you see this new keyword, we call on a method called constructor. That's how it happens. This new keyword, we call on a constructor to construct an object out of the class. I come again. When you say new and you put the name of the class, this new, we tell JavaScript that JavaScript, go and call on the constructor inside this class and use the constructor to create an object out of that class. But then if you look at this, you will tell me that there is no constructor here. But the truth is that every class has a constructor. Every class, whether it is written or not, by default, it has a constructor by default. And it is the constructor that helps us to construct an object out of that class. So whenever you call on new my class, instantly it will go and do whatever you have inside that constructor. Again, it is the constructor that actually helps us to construct an object out of the class. So you can write your own constructor. So let's do that together. So this constructor is a keyword. This constructor is a keyword. So what is the purpose of this constructor? To start with, I'll say alert hello. I'll do this. Now, look at something. Okay. Let me first comment this out. Let me first remove the constructor for now, and I will ask you the one question. If I say console log obj dot department, for now I'll remove this line also. Look at the codes on the screen. Look at everything on the screen. If I run this code, what will I see? If I run it on the browser, what will I see?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
So I'm going to say software.
Okay, I'll say software. Will I see hello world?
No, sir.
Okay, perfect. I won't see hello world. Perfect. I will only see software. You are correct. Now, if I run this now, will I see hello world?
Yes.
Good. I'll see hello world. Good. So I'm seeing hello world because I called on this function. Yeah. Now let's start into this constructor. If I run this code, let's say A, let's say alert A. If I run this code, will I see A? Let me put white. Will I see this? Will I see A?
No.
Now that is the difference between a constructor and other methods. The truth is, if I run this, I will see A, and you might be asking the question that, well, we are not calling on constructor. But remember I said something the other time that this new keyword, whenever JavaScript sees this, instantly it runs the code inside the constructor. Do you understand? This new keyword, when JavaScript sees it goes to the constructor of that class and runs the code inside that constructor. So at this point, the constructor will be called. In fact, I will see the A before saying the hello word. That is because the constructor will be called at this point. Why the hello word will be called at this point? Do you understand the explanation?
No, sir.
I come again. You don't call on, how do I say, this new keyword. Remember I said it is the constructor that actually helps us to construct an object out of a class. Right? Abina?
Yes.
Okay. I said it is the constructor that helps us to construct an object out of the class. So, and this is where we are constructing an object out of that class. This is the point. So what happens is that immediately JavaScript sees this new keyword, this new, it goes to the constructor of this class and runs the code there. Do you get it?
Sir, please. Sir, what do you mean by constructor?
This thing, the name of this is constructor.
Okay. So why are you calling it constructor?
You said?
So why are you calling it constructor?
I explained that is a keyword. Is a keyword. By default, this if I remove the constructor, this class actually has a constructor. It has a method inside it called constructor. Whether you write it or not, it has a method inside it called constructor.
Okay.
But you can also choose to write your own. When you write your own, JavaScript will call the constructor at this point because it is the constructor that is responsible for constructing an object out of the class. Do you get it? This constructor is a keyword. If I use any other word, it won't work like that again. But this word constructor, is a keyword. What it does is that whenever you create new instance of a class, whenever you say new, then the class name, JavaScript goes to the constructor and runs the code inside the constructor. That's how it works. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at this point, JavaScript will quickly go to the constructor and do all things in the constructor. So at this point, it will alert A. So when you get to the browser, you'll be surprised to see unexpected token on line 16. Oh, sorry. So this A is due to the new, that new keyword that you have there that is trying to construct an object out of that class. You can now see the hello word. If this were to be any other thing aside the word constructor, it won't work like that again. You can only see the hello word and not the A. Then another thing is this. You don't call on the constructor directly. What does that mean? I can't say obj.constructor. This will throw back an error. JavaScript does not allow us to call on a constructor directly like this.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
So I'm very sorry to cut you off. So where did you invoke the constructor that is not alerting A?
You said?
So where did you invoke the constructor that was not alerting A that time?
This new keyword new is the one doing it. That's the work of constructor. Whenever you create a new instance of a class, it's going to run all the codes in the constructor. That makes it different from other functions. Constructor is not the same as other functions. It looks like a method, but it has some special attributes that makes it different from others.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Yes, boss.
And part of that is that whenever you create a new instance of a class, it's going to run all the codes inside the constructor. Another thing is that you don't call on the constructor directly like this. This line will throw back an error. If I run this code, line 22, this line will first give me A because this new keyword will call on the constructor. But when it gets to line 23, instantly it will throw back an error because JavaScript does not allow us to call on a constructor directly. Hey, if you check the console now, you will see error. Class constructor, my class cannot be invoked without new. Do you get it? That makes a constructor to be different from others.
Function.
Yes, other methods. Yes. Let's proceed. So, because we know that a constructor will be invoked at this point, we need to decide to create a new instance of a class. So we can do something. We can take these ones out of this place and bring them into the constructor. Like this. So we are going to say this dot name and this dot department. So with this now, it's the same. It's exactly the way it was before. Whether it's like this or you cut them off and place them inside the constructor, you will still achieve the same results. So what happens is when you try to create a new instance of the class, it will come to the constructor and create two properties called name and department. It will create it on the parent of that, which is my class. It will create these two properties, this dot name and this dot department. It will create it on the parent. So I can now say obj.department. I will say name. Do you understand?
Yes, boss.
Okay. So you might be asking that, well, why not just put it here? You will realize something. By putting it here, it gives us one flexibility. And let's look at the flexibility together. Remember, a constructor is like a method. It's like other method, but it has some other things that other methods cannot do. It can do some other things that other methods cannot do. But then that doesn't take away the fact that it is a method. And because it is a method, you can add parameters. What do I mean? I can say nd, and I'll say n, and this is the. So I'm going to pass two arguments to this place, n and d. So the first one will now be assigned to this dot name, while the second one will be assigned to this dot department. Again, we are going to pass two values here, nd. The first one will be assigned to this dot name, and the second one will be assigned to this dot department. So what we are going to do is this. Now there is a problem here. How do I pass values to these things? Since JavaScript does not allow us to do something like this, obj.constructor, since it doesn't allow us to do this, do you understand? Since JavaScript does not allow us to call on constructors like this, how then are we going to supply parameters to this thing? It's very simple. Instead, you come here and supply it here. When you supply it here, it will be sent to the constructor immediately. So what happens is, this Kenny will be assigned to n, and this hardware will be assigned to d. So this dot name will be Kenny, and this dot department will be hardware. So if I say obj, or if I say console log obj dot department, I will say hardware. Hardware. So interesting. I can do something else. I can say let second obj equals to new my class. Here I can say James, and I can say software. So at this point, for this second one, James will be sent as the value of n, and software will be sent as the value of d. So if I say console log obj, second obj dot department, that of the second obj will be software, while that of the obj will be hardware. Any question? Do you have any question? Are we together? Hello? Hello?
Sorry, boss. I lost my network.
Okay. So let's come again. Here, we can pass values to this constructor. So if I pass Ken, I can pass Ken here and hardware here. This Ken will be assigned as the value of n, and this hardware will be assigned as the value of d. So that this dot name will be Kenny, and this dot department will be hardware. That's for obj. Why for the second obj, James will be sent as the value of n, and software will be sent as the value of d. This dot name will be James, and this dot department will be software. So line 24 will give me hardware, and line 25 will give me software. Do you get it? Hello?
Boss,
Do you understand?
I'm very sorry, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. Sir, can you come back again? I'm very sorry, sir.
Okay. At this point, he said on this line, we are passing this Kenny as the value of n, and we are passing this hardware as the value of d. So this dot name will be n, which is Kenny, and this dot department will be d, which is hardware. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is for obj because we are assigning that to obj. For the second one, we are calling on the same class, but this time around we are passing different arguments. Here, James will be assigned to n and software will be assigned to d. So this dot name will be James and this dot department will be software. So if I say
Software.
obj dot department, that would be hardware. And if I say second obj dot department, that would be software. Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Uh,
So what if
Okay.
you do it 3?
This is what we are going to do. We stop at this point tonight. Just watch the video. If you have any question, reach out to me.
Okay, sir.
Alright. We'll continue from here in our next class. In our next class, we are
Okay,
going to
sir.
look at something called class inheritance. Class inheritance. Alright. Have a
Class
lovely
what, sir?
night. Class inheritance. Let me write it out. Class
Okay. Class inheritance.
inheritance. We're going to look at this.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, this line 24. So what if we have like 3?
You said?
Sir, this line 24.
Yes.
Line 24.
Yes.
So what if we have like 3 this thing in this place?
What you have?
So we have James software.
Yes.
So what if we have another?
One like this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It will be a
So how are you
waste.
going to do it?
It will be a waste because
sir.
James will be assigned to N, software will be assigned to D, and this
Okay.
one will be assigned to nothing, so it will be a waste. It's just going to be a waste.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Then if
So-
you only put one, this James will be assigned to N, and D will be undefined.
Okay. So what if there's no parameter in this place?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Then this dot name will always be on. In fact, this will even throw back an error because there's no N, and this will throw back an error there because there's no D. So it will throw back an error. Instead, you can use default parameter. But then if you
Okay.
if you run this, if you remove the two of them, it will throw back an error because it doesn't understand the meaning of this N and the meaning of this D. It's been looking for variable N
Thanks,
and
boss.
D, and there's no variable N and D. So you can use default parameter by saying maybe N equals to, just put a default name and department, which is D, equals to software. So in case the user refuses to pass the second one, the value will be, if I pass James, N is James, but D will be software because I didn't pass any value. This is default. We've looked at default parameter in one of our classes. We've looked at that. So, and if you put nothing here, N will be tire and D will be software. So you can do something like this if you want to, depending on the application you are building, how you want it to work. Okay, let's call it a day at this point. We look at class inheritance in our next class. I will send the video to the group. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Good night.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the class, sir.
You're
God
welcome, sir.
bless you, sir.
So, man, God bless you too, sir.